Hello. Let's talk a little bit about creating yourself. It's a very common idea. It's definitely true that you're always creating yourself, but there's a nuance in there. You're always creating how you see yourself. You're always creating this idea of yourself. You're always creating a conditioned self and an imagined self. And your conditioned self and your imagined self, that is going to be pretty much how you show up in the world, your portrayed self. So yeah, this is definitely something worth taking a look at. And what many teachings suggest we focus on is creating a more empowering version of ourselves. Who do you need to be in order to? And yet, one of the most impactful questions I have ever been asked in my life by one of my mentors, Robert Holden. So what's it like to be you when you're not trying to be anybody? I first heard him ask that in a workshop in London almost 10 years ago. It really struck me. I've asked countless clients and people that question as well, just in stillness. What's it like to be you when you're not trying to be anyone? And I add, including trying to be yourself. Because whenever we try to be ourselves, we're only ever trying to be an idea of ourselves. Pretty much everyone I've asked that question responds with, yeah, how it looks to me. Let's wait for this car to pass. Pretty much everyone I've asked that question responds with a version of freeing, liberating, lightness. What's it like to be you when you're not trying to be somebody, including trying to be yourself? It frees us from that often striving way of living. Well, I know I need to be more kind. I'm going to try and be more kind, which in itself is not necessarily the kindest way to live. I'm going to try and be more loving. Damn it. Yeah. As I say, there can be value in taking a look at that. But what I've found most liberating, and this is definitely where I point my clients to now, rather than self-creation, is self-discovery. Who are you? Beyond all of that conditioning, who are you beyond all of those ideas of yourself? Who are you beyond the conditioned self? Who are you beyond the imagined self? Who are you? The unconditioned self, that person who showed up here in a body with your innate desires and talents and preferences. One might argue that, who are you? That person who's here for a particular purpose. That to me is a self-discovery, and it's a liberating discovery. And whilst it can take some work to dive into that, we're not really diving into it, because that's what appears as we become clearer on the extent and nature of all of our conditioning. And in that respect, it's not helpful to add to that conditioning with who we think we should be in order to. That can just add to the noise. And you'll see a lot of commitment, as I've said before, you see a lot of commitment and trying and striving in that space. discovering who you are, irrespective of all that conditioning, is the most beautiful, liberating, loving, wow, is the most loving discovery that you can make. Who you were here to be. And it's the most beautiful way to live. In a way, it is effortless. Getting there can take a lot of work, but living that way is effortless. No longer imprisoned by the compliance of all of that conditioning. Liberated from all those ideas often rooted in a perception of inadequacy, of who you think you need to be. This for me is the nature of the work that I do, helping people discover who they really are and helping them to really understand who that is, and then helping them to freely live into that, who they came here to be. And it's absolutely beautiful to witness. Such a privilege to see how free, loving, creative people often feel when they're in touch with that. People can often go on to change careers, change the way they're relating with people, change the kind of relationships they're having, become more artistic and creative, paint, dance, draw, sing, you name it. Essentially living a more joyous and free life. And that's just so beautiful. So my invitation to you, as well as that question, what's it like to be you when you're not trying to be somebody, including trying to be yourself? It's also to notice when you are trying to live into an idea of yourself, and perhaps creating a new idea. Because discovering who you are and then reminding yourself of that is like a healing balm. It's like the most loving, welcoming, compassionate embrace you can receive. And I have in place a daily spiritual practice that I use that helps me remember who I am beyond all that conditioning. And that's taken some deep inner work to discover that. That's not just something that's made up from an idea. And maybe that's taken all of my life to discover that, who knows? Thank you for joining me again on part of my walk around beautiful Tsilivi. I'll talk to you again soon. Thank you for watching.